When Pablo Escobar's daughter wanted a unicorn, he bought her a horse and stapled a cone to its head and wings to its back. The horse died a week later due to severe infections. In 1984, a woman started hearing a voice in her head. The voice told her she had a brain tumor, where the tumor was, and how to treat it. Despite no other symptoms, the doctors ordered tests and found the tumor right where the voice said it would be. In the year 2000, 18-year-old Zeb Quinn went missing after finishing his shift at a Walmart in North Carolina. His car was discovered 2 weeks later in a restaurant parking lot under mysterious circumstances. Its headlights were still on, a big pair of lips were drawn on the back windshield with red lipstick, and a live Labrador puppy was found inside the car. But otherwise, very little evidence has been found, and Zeb Quinn remains missing to this day. In 1979, a 13-year-old girl named Diane Dye told her friend that she was gonna run away for a few days. Since her parents were getting divorced, Diane thought this would bring them back together. So she did what she said but never came back, and she remains missing more than 40 years later. A pair of conjoined twins whose brains are so intertwined that they share each other's senses. One can see what the other sees, taste what the other tastes, and feel what the other feels. If you hit someone with your car in China, you have to pay for their medical care. But killing someone with your car in China is just a one-time fine. For this reason, people have gone back to kill the person that they accidentally hit. The Roman Emperor Nero accidentally killed his pregnant wife by kicking her to death. He then found a young boy who looked exactly like her, castrated him, and married him. Michael Jackson avoided tragedy on 9/11 thanks to his mother. He had a meeting at the top of one of the towers that morning, but missed his appointment because he overslept. The night before, he had been up late talking to his mom on the phone until 3 a.m. In France, you can legally marry a dead person as long as you can prove that they planned on marrying you before they died. On June 11, 2019, Illinois teenager Riley Horner was accidentally kicked in the head. As a result of the injury, her memory resets every 2 hours and she wakes up every day thinking it's June 11th. In 1964, the U.S. Army performed an experiment to see if 3 young physics students could design an atomic bomb. They had no specific knowledge of nuclear weapons and were only given access to publicly available documents. Within 3 years, they succeeded. Over 160 years ago, a Frenchman and a Russian shot at each other during the Crimean War and their bullets collided. During World War II, a Nazi officer ordered his soldiers to hold their fire to allow for the rescue of an American soldier who had stepped on a landmine. When no one came for help, the officer went to rescue the soldier but stepped on a landmine himself. Photographer Atif Saeed nearly got himself killed in order to capture this photo, which was taken just moments before the lion tried to attack him. He drove up to the lion, sat on the ground next to his car, and left the door open. The door being left open was the only reason he was able to escape unharmed. In case anyone is wondering what happened to the dinosaurs, here's what a baby blue heron looks like. The Bajau people of Southeast Asia are considered sea nomads. They have no homes, money, or nationalities, and they spend 60% of their time underwater. They can go spearfishing at depths greater than 200 feet without scuba gear or oxygen tanks. They've even developed much larger spleens than the average human thanks to evolution. During World War I, Hungarian soldier Paul Kern was shot in the head and lost part of his frontal lobe. However, instead of killing him, the gunshot otherwise made him unable to sleep. And as a result, the man stayed awake for the next 40 years until his death in 1955. A few doctors theorized that Kern likely fell asleep for seconds at a time throughout the day without even realizing it. Other doctors believed that the bullet tore away the part of his brain that needed to be replenished by sleep. But to this day, researchers still can't explain how he was able to survive for so long without sleeping. In 2013, a Nigerian chef survived in a sunken ship for nearly 3 days. It was 270 feet deep in pitch black water, and he said the only thing he could hear was the sound of fish eating the corpses of his shipmates. It is estimated that up to 2 million German women were raped by Soviet soldiers following World War II. And Sonny Graham was dying of heart failure when he got the call about a new heart. The donor was 33-year-old Terry Cottle, who had just committed suicide by shooting himself in the throat with a shotgun. After a successful transplant, Sonny started writing to Terry's widow Cheryl. The two ended up falling in love and getting married. Soon, people started to notice that Sonny was taking on some of Terry's personality and characteristics. He started liking things that he never enjoyed before, like beer and hot dogs, which were some of Terry's favorites. 12 years later, Sonny committed suicide the exact same way as Terry, with a shotgun to the throat. This is the tomb of little Merritt Beardsley, an 8-year-old boy who died of an uncurable illness in 1865. A few days before he died, he told his dad that he was afraid of death because he didn't want to be buried in the dark. So his parents honored his wish and put a window in his tomb. In 2006, a woman who had been missing for 3 years was found dead in her London flat, with the TV still running. In 1994, Mauro Prosperi was competing in a 145-mile endurance event through the Sahara Desert. During the race, a sandstorm disoriented Prosperi, causing him to run nearly 200 miles in the wrong direction. He soon found himself completely stranded in the middle of the desert without any resources. After a few days of suffering, he decided to slit his own wrists, attempting to die a less painful death. But he was so dehydrated that his thick blood clotted up the wounds and he woke up the next day. 9 days later, he was rescued in a completely different country after losing 40 pounds of body weight. He survived off of insects, cactuses, his own urine, bats, snakes, and wet wipes. About 400 million years ago, before trees dominated the landscape, the earth was covered with giant mushrooms. In 1986, an Indian man set a world record by spending 72 hours in a cage with 72 of the world's most venomous snakes. He was seeking to spread awareness that snakes don't bite unless provoked. He came out of the cage unharmed without a single bite. A nightclub fire in Rhode Island was a terrible tragedy that killed 100 people in 2003. But a man named Mike Vargas managed to survive for more than 90 minutes inside the building. He was trampled by a mob trying to escape and only survived because he was insulated by all the bodies burning around him. He walked out with only minor burns on his legs, but still suffers from severe PTSD to this day. In 2015, a Texas father saved his son's life when doctors wrongly declared him brain dead and wanted to take him off life support. He barricaded himself inside the hospital room with a gun and had a 3-hour standoff with a SWAT team until his son squeezed his hand. The son eventually made a full recovery. A man in Washington state found a caterpillar that looks like it has the image of a human face on its back. The internet is pretty sure it was the reincarnation of Edgar Allan Poe. Otters in the Amazon are apex predators that can grow up to 6 feet long. They have been known to prey on small anacondas and caimans when fish are unavailable. The giant groundsel is a prehistoric plant that is only found on top of Mount Kilimanjaro. For years, scientists didn't know what created various massive cave networks in South America. In 2010, they learned that the caves were actually tunnels dug by ancient giant ground sloths. In 2001, an 8-year-old boy named Jesse Arbogast was attacked by a 7-foot bull shark while he was standing in knee-deep water near Pensacola, Florida. The shark had bitten off one of Jesse's arms and part of his thigh before his uncle pulled it away and wrestled it to shore. After a park ranger shot the shark in the head, Jesse's uncle retrieved the severed arm, put it on ice, and drove it to the hospital where it was successfully reattached. Morticians often use these spiky contacts to keep the eyes of the dead closed during funeral viewings. In 1999, skydiver Joan Murray's parachute malfunctioned, causing her to fall 14,500 feet to the ground. Miraculously, Joan survived the fall, thanks to the fact that she landed directly onto a mound of fire ants. Doctors believe that being stung over 200 times by the ants released a surge of adrenaline that kept her heart beating. Refrigerator doors are only magnetic because kids used to die inside of them. Before the Refrigerator Safety Act of 1956, the doors could only be opened by pulling the handle from the outside, which resulted in the deaths of many children who found abandoned refrigerators and got trapped inside of them while playing hide and seek. Angelina Jolie was once so depressed that she tried to hire a hitman to kill her. She felt that a murder would be easier on her family than if she committed suicide. The would-be hitman talked her out of it by asking her to wait a month and reconsider her decision. Anesthesia awareness happens when a patient under anesthesia is completely conscious but is unable to physically move their body. Patients are fully aware throughout their operation and are able to feel pain without the ability to alert doctors to stop the procedure. In 2007, a 73-year-old man underwent a major surgery and suffered from anesthesia awareness. His resulting PTSD led to suicide, prompting a lawsuit against the anesthesiologists. A 43-year-old man named Jason Vukovic, who was sexually assaulted as a boy, used an online sex offenders registry to track down pedophiles and beat them with a hammer. He was sentenced to 23 years in prison for multiple first-degree assault charges. Japanese death row inmates are not told the date of their execution. They wake up each day wondering if today might be their last. The 1902 St. Pierre volcanic eruption killed all 35,000 people in the nearby town except for one man. He only survived because he was the worst prisoner in town and lived deep in a solitary confinement cell. In 2010, excavators at Ground Zero found an 18th century wooden ship underneath the rubble. For more than 200 years, it lay hidden beneath the ground upon which the World Trade Center once stood. This is the Oseberg ship, a 9th century Viking ship that was found almost perfectly preserved in a burial mound in Norway. After a bowhead whale was killed in Alaska by local whalers in 2007, an old harpoon tip was found in its neck. Biologists estimate that the 6-inch harpoon tip dates back to 1880, meaning the 50-ton whale had been coasting around Arctic waters since Victorian times, thus proving that the bowhead whale is the oldest living mammal on Earth. In 1963, Rodney Fox was spearfishing off the coast of Australia when something suddenly pulled him under. Within seconds, Fox was suffering from a punctured lung, ripped diaphragm, pierced scapula, and an exposed rib cage, abdomen, and spleen. After pulling him up from the water, rescuers had to keep his wetsuit on to prevent his organs from spilling out. After 4 hours of surgery and 462 stitches, Rodney Fox lived to tell the tale of surviving one of the worst great white shark attacks in recorded history.